She swore on our friendship. Girl. I would never. I respect you too much. An hour later. Her location was off. So was his. They told me I was crazy, and I was just being sensitive. Now. They're standing in front of me, begging for a second chance. The shock was priceless. Alright. So this all kicked off about 2 weeks ago. I'm writing this because I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I just need to lay it all out. I was back home visiting my family for a week. Things between my boyfriend, let's call him Jake, and I felt fine. Wed had our issues. Sure. But I'd literally just been telling my mom that we were really working on things and it was getting better. The plan was for me to fly back on Sunday. That Saturday night, Jake texted me that he was going out with a group of our friends. This included one of my best friends, Cass, and her boyfriend, who is also Jake's best friend and coworker. Totally normal. But then, late that night, the texts just stopped. Our usual back and forth just went silent. It was around 2 a.m. His time when I sent my last text, midnight for me on the West Coast. No, good night. No, talk to you tomorrow. Nothing. My brain immediately started trying to figure it out. What's going on? This is weird. He's never like this. I checked his location. Saw he'd made it home eventually. And told myself to stop overthinking it and go to sleep. The next morning, I woke up early to get ready for my flight. On instinct, I checked his location again. It was off. Now my stomach was in knots. I texted him, asking what happened last night and if everything was okay. No reply. An hour later, I called, straight to voicemail. A couple hours after that, my phone finally rang with his name. I answered, and he just said, "Hold on," and immediately hung up. A few minutes later, he called back from his car. His excuse had been on the phone with his brother for 2 hours straight. When I asked why he couldn't have shot me a quick text or answered my call, he mumbled something about his phone being glitchy. It was the flimsiest excuse I'd ever heard. My gut screamed that something was wrong. But what could I do? I was hundreds of miles away. And he kept insisting. Babe. Everything is fine. I promise. On the plane. I couldn't shake the feeling. I needed someone to tell me I was crazy. So I texted Cass. I laid out how weird Jake was acting and asked if anything seemed off last night. She replied almost instantly. She told me nothing had happened. That I had absolutely nothing to worry about. And that she'd been with him and everything was normal. Reading her text felt like a weight lifting. I trusted her completely. My best friend wouldn't lie to me. I landed Sunday night and went straight to his place. The second I walked in the door, I knew. There was no "I missed you." No hug. No real affection at all. He just seemed hollow. Looking back, it was pure guilt written all over his face. At the time, I was just confused and hurt. That night, I barely slept. The next day, Monday, we sat down after work. He told me he just didn't feel that emotional connection anymore. The irony is, I'd broken up with him 2 months earlier for that exact reason. He had begged me for another chance. Promised he'd put in the effort. And now, he was using it to end things. I was surprisingly calm. My main thought wasn't about saving the relationship anymore. It was about solving the mystery. I looked him in the eyes and said, "I just want to know what happened on Saturday night." He swore up and down that nothing happened. "I would never, ever do that to you," he said. We ended things on what felt like good terms. And I left. I almost believed him. But that pit in my stomach was still there. Has anyone else ever been in that situation? Where your gut is telling you one thing, but the people you trust most are telling you the complete opposite. You start to feel like you're the one going crazy. After I left Jake's, I immediately called 2 of my close friends. Needing to hear a friendly voice, I was recounting the breakup when one of them, who's also friends with Cass, stopped me. She told me she thought Cass' boyfriend had actually gone home early that Saturday night, leaving Cass and Jake alone at the bar. That was news to me. Still, my brain couldn't quite connect the dots. This was Cass. I trusted her. I figured there had to be a reasonable explanation. So, I texted Cass to let her know Jake and I were done. She replied almost instantly, saying how sorry she was. Then, in the same breath, she told me she was breaking up with her boyfriend the next day. I felt a pang of sympathy. I offered her my support. Even told her she could stay with me if she needed a place to crash. I genuinely wanted to be there for her. We made plans to get dinner the next night to talk through our breakups. We met at a little Italian place downtown. We were talking about everything. And I was actually starting to feel a bit better. Then, halfway through her pasta, she just casually mentioned that she had been alone with Jake that night. It was like a switch flipped in my brain. The weird texts, the glitchy phone, the cold shoulder, it all snapped into focus. I needed to confirm it. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, my hands shaking as I pulled out my phone. I texted Jake. "Were you with Cass alone on Saturday?" A few seconds later, his reply came back. "Yes." I walked out of the bathroom, went back to the table, and asked her point blank, "Were you with Jake on Saturday night?" She looked me right in the eyes and said, "No." She straight up lied to my face. I just stared at her. "You're lying." He just admitted it. The color drained from her face. She started backtracking, apologizing, saying she would never do anything to hurt me, that I was one of her best friends. I wasn't even angry yet, just numb. I asked her to walk me through it. She claimed they just met up to talk about their own relationship problems, that it lasted maybe 20 minutes, and that my name never even came up. It sounded like complete BS. I left dinner and went straight to Jake's house. I asked him the same question. Walk me through Saturday. His version was different. He said it was more like 45 minutes, and that they definitely talked about me and our relationship. At that point, I knew they were both lying. The stories were close enough to seem plausible, but different enough to be a clear, coordinated lie. The next day, I ended up apologizing to Cass for getting her ex-boyfriend involved, telling her I just wanted to talk things through and get the truth so we could move forward. We agreed to have a phone call that night. On the call, I asked her again why she lied. She blamed it on the stress of her own breakup. I told her I could understand that, but I needed to know if she was planning on seeing him. She swore she wasn't. Her exact words were, "Girl, I would never. I respect you too much." Not even an hour later, I was at another friend's house, just trying to decompress. Someone glanced at their phone and said, "Hey." Weird. Cass turned her location off. On a horrible whim. We checked Jake's. His was off, too. My friend called Cass now ex, and he confirmed it. They were together. They were literally hanging out less than an hour after she swore on our friendship that she wasn't seeing him. How do you even begin to process a lie that deep from someone you considered a sister? She looked me in the eye and lied. And an hour later she was with him. I don't get it. When I found out they were together, I called Jake. I don't know what I expected. An apology. A confession. Instead, he told me they were just walking their dogs together. He said it so calmly, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. He then added that they were talking about how their relationship could work after all this blew over. The audacity was breathtaking. He was already planning a future with her while the body of our relationship was still warm. I felt sick to my stomach and hung up. Then, something I never could have predicted happened. I got a call from Jake's brother. He sounded incredibly guilty. "This has been eating me alive," he said. "I respect you too much not to tell you. I don't know everything. But I know this for a fact. They kissed. That was it." That was the piece that made it all make sense. His words weren't speculation. They were a key unlocking the whole ugly truth. My brain stopped spinning in circles trying to make sense of their lies. I knew what I had to do. I called Jake one last time. My voice was steady, cold. "Did you kiss Cass on Saturday?" "No," he said, the denial coming way too fast. "I told you. Nothing happened. I swear." He kept repeating it, his voice getting louder, more frantic. I let him finish. "Then," I said, "your brother called me." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. It was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. It was the sound of every lie head ever told me collapsing at once. When he finally spoke, his voice was a whisper. "He told you." That's when he admitted it. He told me everything. And the truth was so much worse than I could have imagined. It wasn't just a drunken mistake. It was calculated. He said she kissed him at the bar that night. The next morning, she went through her own boyfriend's iPad to find Jake's number. Because she didn't have it, she texted him, asking to see him one more time before he dropped her off. And when they were alone on Sunday, she kissed him again. It all clicked into place. Her text to me on the plane. reassuring me. Her fake sympathy at dinner. Her promise that she would never do this to me. All of it. Every single interaction for over a week. Was a lie. She was actively pursuing him while comforting me. He let it happen. And then lied right alongside her? Watching me tie myself in knots trying to figure it out. I've never felt more heartbroken or betrayed in my life. In the span of a few days, I lost my boyfriend and the person I thought was my best friend. I did nothing to deserve this level of cruelty and deception. I don't want revenge. I don't want pity. I just needed to write this all down. To get it out of my head and stop carrying it alone. Because I know they'll never tell the truth. So I will.